Yo, what's going on, bro? So this video is going to be pretty interesting because I live out my own past life memories, but living out somebody else's, that was new. That was pretty new. Now, for those of you who don't know, right? My boy King Cash, right? Me and him actually have several incarnations where me and him are actually brothers, right? On top of that, me and him are actually aligned to the same oversoul. Like me and him are actually the same soul on a higher level. Like the oversoul starts on the 8D. So when me and him ascended to like the 8D, we merged souls. You know what I'm saying? But at the same exact time, like, and let me say this though, we made the plan inside the 6D, but got fully merged inside the 8D. That's how it kind of worked, right? Now with all that being said, even though we merged souls as we ascended type shit, you gotta understand that creation happens from source manifesting into physicality. It's not physicality first and then source. Here's why I'm saying that. Because even though me and him saw ourselves merge souls while ascending, me and him were already merged before incarnating inside this universe, you know? Because before the universe started, right? You had source, then you had omni souls, then over souls, then individual souls. Then those individual souls made different lifetimes, which made different realities, which eventually manifested physically, and then you see all of this shit. So with that being said, right? Me and him were already an oversoul before incarnating physically. Like I actually remember, right? Like me and my boy Catch were talking about this shit. About like I was telling him of my memories of when we actually were an oversoul before incarnating, and how when the plan for Lyra actually got made, it's like one thing that he would do would he would be like this 6D being, right? And like he literally like you know how like Lyra's a constellation, right? Lyra was, you could just say, the constellation was built in a certain place of space, right? It was Cash who said, "Hey, yo, bro, we got to do this shit right here. Put the stars like this. We got to have planets like this." Like, he helped to essentially design how Lyra was going to be before we even manifested in Lyra type shit. Like, I was telling him of my memories of that, and he also remembered that shit too. You see what I'm saying? So, you could tap into past lives before even incarnating inside the universe. You know what I'm saying? Because before the universe, right, there was a metaverse. And I actually remember past lives in the metaverse, you know? I actually broke down all the verses already on my Patreon. So Patreon, guys, you guys should have already seen the video. But for those of you who are on YouTube, that is on Patreon down below. I broke down what the Omniverse is, the 5 arc verses, all that shit, right? I also made other videos explaining how your soul experiences them and stuff like that, how to gain an even deeper understanding of how to gain an even deeper understanding in regards to how to relate to the 12 plans and stuff like that. I talked so much about that shit, so go watch that if you guys don't understand the Omniverse fully. But with all that being said, right? I mentioned all that because you guys gotta understand that me and Cash are attached to the same oversoul, and we have several past lives when we were brothers. In fact, I was actually tapping into a past life, right, with me and him. So he's tapping into his lightning dragon, right? And I'm tapping into my water dragon. Now, me and him, like he was a lightning dragon and I was a water dragon at the same period of time. You know what I'm saying? And we were in a place called Sangas, right? Now, he was more electricity. I was more magnetism because when it came to me and him, right, he was always the light side and I was always the dark side. So dark, light and dark. I mean, it don't mean good and evil. I mean the sense of with the light side, he's the more extroverted one, the more like expressive doing shit one, and then I'm the more introspective one. You know what I'm saying? The one who's more like sitting back, introspective, getting knowledge type shit. You see what I'm saying? So with the water and electricity, right, or with the water and lightning, right? He was electricity, right? He's the active light one, right? And I'm magnetism. I'm the water dark one, right? So with that being said, at some point me and him actually mixed together, right, to create a neon dragon, you know? Because lightning, right, is a plasma, right? And then water is a liquid. Now plasma, right, like fire is also like when niggas say like when it comes to elements, right, it goes ether, fire, air, water, earth, you know? Some niggas put fire below Some niggas put fire below air, but if you look this shit up scientifically, right? Scientists call fire a plasma. Understand that plasmas are less dense than gases. You know what I'm saying? So it goes fire, or it goes plasma, gas, liquid. He's a plasma, I'm a liquid. Inside the middle, we become a gas because neon is a gas, you know? And even though when it comes to neon, right? Neon has no color unless you add electricity to it, then it becomes orange and red. However, you could have different color neon lights because when you add different gases to the neon, it makes the color different also, you know? Now, I'm saying all that because when it comes to the water, right? Depending on like water dealt very much so with the motion, right? So depending on what emotion I felt, depended on what kind of gases I would turn into when Cash's electricity got added to me and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? So we can make different color lightning and stuff like that. I mean, different color neon and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like I was tapping into like our neon dragon, right? And because of that, I guess it led me to tap into his past life memories because literally, like I was tapping into this shit probably around like I would say anywhere from like 12 to 2 a.m. That's when I was sleep type shit. So I was in the astral, like being taught about it, reliving certain shit about that. You know what I'm saying? That's how I found about the neon. That's how I found out about about the neon dragon. Because me and him already knew that we merged together for a certain power, but I learned that it was neon last night inside the astral. So with that being said, right, I was already kind of feeling us two connected, and then also when it hit eight, it was 8 a.m. Right, I was like, you know what, bro? Let me try to astral project, right? Like I wasn't necessarily tired, but I knew that I could make my body become tired. Like I've gotten very good at just trancing out and falling asleep. I'm not gonna lie. So it's like at various points of the day, like if I'm not super duper energetic, best believe I could meditate, bro, and make myself astral project, bro. And with the method that I'm putting out there, you guys will be able to do exactly the same thing. By the time YouTube see this, it might already be out. So check the link down below. Check the link tree, and it might be there. You know what I'm saying? Because my method really like it take practice, but I'm at a point where it's like all I gotta do is just go to sleep and I experience some astral shit, right? So with that being said, right before I decided to astral project, I was thinking about the lightning because I'm like, yo, let me use this lightning power. I mean, not lightning. Let me use this neon power to like, to gain a certain energy and stuff like that because like the different color neons have different kind of powers, right? So every color neon is linked to a different ray of light or a different quality of energy. So like red neon, right, could be very passionate, you know what I'm saying? And very like it could be like very vital energy, right? So if I need that passion vital energy shit, I'll use that red neon shit. So I was just thinking about all that shit, right? After all that shit, I'm like, you know what, bro? Let me just try to astral project, right? Normally I would set a timer. Like this was like me like before I got to where I am now, I used to set timers type shit and try to astral project. That shit is a no no because when you set a timer, you're literally aware of the timer, which could kind of keep you up and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I didn't set no timer, right? So I don't know how long it took for this to happen, but it couldn't have been more than 15 minutes, probably like 10 minutes, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I'll say 10, 15 minutes, right? I'm kind of like getting inside this trance state, right? And when I start to like get inside these trance states, I'll start to like see images. I'll hear like beings talking to me and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it would just be like karmic impressions popping up, but I could always tell the difference. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, right, I was seeing what was a cannon, right? Now I didn't know it was a cannon, but it was essentially a cannon, but I was seeing it from the perspective of getting shot from it, right? But like I said, all I saw was like this like circly red thing, right? I didn't really know what the fuck that was, right? And then I seen this rock being, right? So I didn't know what the fuck. I'm like, yeah, what the fuck is this shit? You know what I'm saying? Because like I'm like, is this circle shit the rock being's face? But that didn't really feel right. So I'm like, dog, like what is this, right? At some point I stopped trying to figure it out. Not just let that shit flow a little bit more type shit. And as I'm doing that, right, I start like seeing myself as like this robot kind of a thing, right? Or like inside this robot suit. And I have this hand cannon. And I'm shooting the hand cannon at the rock being. So I'm gonna assume that what I was seeing, right, was the rock being's perspective of getting shot. That's why I saw the cannon like this, you know what I'm saying? And the being kind of looked like, oh, let me move my OBS, hold up. The rock being kind of looked like this, you know? So when I saw the rock being look like this, I saw my hand go like, bah, and shoot that shit, right? Now it was kind of confusing because I'm like, yo, this ain't my normal style. Like I don't usually fight with this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like this robot suit shit. I'm like, what is this ain't really me, you know? But at the same exact time, that shit felt fun as hell. So I started just letting this shit like play out more. Nigga, I was just going around blasting shit, blasting shit, blasting shit. Like nigga, that shit was fun as fuck. Like it felt so fun being inside. I like, bro, I fucking loved that suit, right? And I could tell that I was like some type of female warrior, whatever the heck. So with all that being said, right? I was like, bro, I gotta look up this fucking hand cannon, bro. Cause whatever the fuck this shit is, bro, this shit, I fucking love this shit. So I looked up hand cannon, right? And at some point, this shit popped up. When I saw this, I knew exactly what the fuck was going on. You see, me and my boy Cash have talked several times, right? One time, let me actually pull this picture up. There should be a different one. Yeah. One time, right? We were talking about him fighting a black dragon. Now, when he was fighting a black dragon, right? He was this Lyran female that kind of looks like this. This is the girl inside the suit, if you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Lyran humanoids look like white blondes. You know what I'm saying? They be looking like white blondes. You know. So he looked like this, and he had a suit that was like this. You know, and he was telling me about that shit. So I'm not gonna say I forgot all about that, but I wasn't even considering that not one bit while seeing these memories, right? But I knew they were past like memories though, because it felt like some past life shit, right? So with all that being said, once I saw this picture, I'm like, dog, this is fucking cash. And it makes sense because a couple of things, right? Number one, I was already being told how I'm gonna start getting more oversoul awareness. I was already being told that shit, right? Number two, YouTube, y'all not gonna see this shit in the way I'm speaking about it. In Patreon, you guys probably won't see it in the way I'm speaking about it. But yesterday, right? I made a video for my Patreon, right? It was one of the Omniverse videos, right? And I was explaining how there has been times where I've actually hit oversoul and omnisoul awareness, right? I'm not inside that shit all the time, but I have experienced it, right? So I was talking about that shit yesterday, right? And then the very next day, I'm seeing some oversoul shit. At the very same time, I'm tapping into when me and Cass were merged as the Neon Dragon. You know what I'm saying? So with all that shit happening, it makes sense that I would just stumble upon these past life shits. And it made sense why it's like, okay, that's why it kind of felt like this shit ain't really my style, but it still kind of feel like me, but not me. Because like it's not my style from this perspective of my soul, but because me and Cash are oversoul, right? Me and him technically are the same soul. It's just that the oversoul splits into an individual soul. So with my individual soul, right? It's not allied with it with my individual soul, it's not allied with my personality of the individual soul to be inside some shit like this. But for Cash's individual soul, that matches the personality of his individual soul. But on a higher level, it's the same exact soul, which is why it kind of felt like, this don't really match my personality type shit, but it do feel like me. It dog, I go like, it felt fun as shit. Like I see why Cash like that shit. It felt fun as fuck being this nigga. I ain't well really being this female. I ain't gonna lie, you know what I'm saying? But I just thought that was pretty cool because I never really heard a story like that. Like I relived my friend's past like memory. Like I never heard that shit. But yeah. Then I told Cash about it. Right, I actually texted him. I was like, "Yo, bro, has experience where I saw this, and that, and da da da." And I didn't like. I was saying it from the perspective of like when I still thought it was me. Right. I didn't tell him that it was him until the very end. Right. So he sent me an audio back, and he was like, "Yo, bro." I was reading your text and I'm like, yo, why the fuck does this shit sound like me? Like, why are you describing my lives right now? Then he got to the end and he saw like, holy shit, that yeah. So, cause like at first, like from his perspective, he's reading it at first thinking that I'm talking about me, living this shit, and then he's like, why does his shit sound like my shit? But it's because I'm telling him his shit. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of funny. Like, making him read his own shit like that. That's kind of funny. But yeah. So I didn't really intentionally try to do that, but it's not really. Honestly, it's not too hard to tap into the oversoul, right? Like, okay, so you could tap into the oversoul, right, without knowing who the people inside of it are. But at that point, it gets a bit harder because you can't focus on one person inside the oversoul, right? Right. But you can still have the intent of I want to connect with the oversoul, right? If you set that intent and try to genuinely feel and meditate on that type of shit, if you just meditate on the concept of an oversoul, you'll connect with the energy more, right? And then you may like have shit get revealed inside your life that show you that holy shit, that person's part of my oversoul, right? You know what I'm saying? Or you may just like get certain information that comes from a different part of your oversoul. You may be conscious of the fact that it came from the oversoul, or you may not be. But it's like if you just set the intent to connect with that shit, you meditate on that shit and have a genuine intent, the shit will respond to you, right? Then on top of that, once you know who's part of the oversoul, now all you really have to do is just think about that person, and then boom. You know what I'm saying? Like with me, I was already in the energy of me and Cash together, right? So as I was trancing out and falling asleep, I had different karmic impressions popping up, which related to that past life, you see? And it was hella fucking fun. So, yeah. I'm gonna just end the video right there. I'm about to make a video about this angel school I went to last night also. Y'all not gonna see this shit in order, of course, like YouTube. Y'all gonna see this shit like a week later from this one. But, hey, it is what it is. I'm gonna catch y'all, though. Peace.